Welcome back to the channel, folks. I'm Blockchain Bill, and this is your weekly crypto update. Now, before we get started this week, I want to let you guys know I am posting a video on Thursday about how to invest in this market if you're just starting out. If you're interested, hit that notification bell down below, and you'll be alerted once it posts. All right, let's get into this week's Market Watch. Okay, I have CoinGecko pulled up. And it looks like if you're in the top 100, you either are up about 5% or down 5% from last week. Let's take a look at some of our usual suspects here. Bitcoin up 5.5%. Ethereum up 7%. Solana down right about 5%. XRP up 5%. Let's see here. Cardano up 3%. Shiba up 5%. Chainlink kind of was more or less the same. Not really much movement on Chainlink. Let's go down here a little bit further, see if there's anybody who's really kind of breaking out of that pattern here. Render Coin, pretty much even. No real gains. Pepe, we like Pepe here. Again, no real movement on Pepe from last week. Okay, here we go. Core. Remember last week, Core was the one and only coin that was kind of the breakout coin last week. It was up 33%. Well, guess what? This week, it's down 30%. What goes up must come down. Now, right next to it is Sui. Sui is down 10% from the previous week. And I tell you that because I'm thinking about doing a video on Sui. It's a blockchain network, and the more I look into it, the more I kind of like Sui and what they're doing over there. So I actually have a little side project this week. I'm going to make a coin on the Sui network just to see how it goes and how easy it is to work on that network. So depending on how that goes, you may see a video in the very near future on Sui. That's Sui, S-U-I. Check it out. Okay, let's go back and take one more look at Bitcoin before we move on. Bitcoin's trading right around $70,000. Now, if you are looking to buy Bitcoin and hold on to it long term, meaning 5, 10, 15, 20 years or more, then you should be buying Bitcoin right now because it is quite possibly the lowest it's ever going to be from this point on. And why do I say that? Well, Bitcoin is expected to peak out in this cycle somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000. All right. After it peaks, it's also expected to pull back about 50%. Now, let's split the difference between $150,000 and $200,000. And so that's $175,000. So half of that, when it does the pullback, is $87,500. That's about $17,000 more than you can buy Bitcoin for right now. So again, if you're looking to hold Bitcoin for long term, now is your best opportunity to do so, to buy it at the absolute lowest price that you're ever going to be able to buy it for. Folks, there is no shortage currently of crypto analysts and crypto influencers out there talking about the supply shock that's about to happen to Bitcoin. Bitcoin supply shock makes for a great headline, right? Now, a lot of these guys are also predicting some wild, maybe even insane price predictions for Bitcoin. So I kind of decided to do my own analysis and research. And I think what you're going to find that I came up with is quite informative and probably a little more on the mark of what the Bitcoin price is actually going to be after the halving event. But first, let's take a quick refresher of what the halving event is. Now, Bitcoin is designed to be a scarce, inflation-resistant asset. One of the mechanisms it uses to achieve this is the halving. Approximately every 4 years, or every 210,000 Bitcoin blocks to be exact, the amount of new Bitcoin created by mining declines by half until all 21 million Bitcoin are mined sometime next century. So the halving event has occurred, and this is when the supply shock starts to take effect. And what these folks are saying is that we're going to see an extreme rise in price. And some of these guys are talking about a minimum $250,000 Bitcoin by next year. And a lot of them are talking about a $500,000 Bitcoin. And some are even talking about $1 million Bitcoin. Be aware of these people. Yes, Supply and demand will most definitely play a part in the Bitcoin price. It's literally written into the code of Bitcoin. It's supposed to do that. However, what these folks are not factoring in, or I believe they're not factoring in, is at least some of the following. There's currently about 20 million Bitcoin that have been mined to date, and about 85% of that Bitcoin is in long-term wallet holders, meaning 12 months or more. Now, some of these holders are likely to sell at least a portion of their Bitcoin for profit when we have rallies or at the end of this cycle when Bitcoin is expected to drop 50%. Anytime anyone sells Bitcoin, that means more Bitcoin on the market. We also have around 3 million Bitcoin belonging to short-term holders who are even more likely to take profits in an uptrend and ditch their Bitcoin at the end of this cycle. You also have about 2 million Bitcoin which are controlled by miners, and they are extremely likely to sell at least some of their reserves to grow their operations or cover costs. Yes, there will be a supply squeeze and a price increase for a period of time. However, as profits start to be pulled, supply is going to increase, and that'll begin to stifle the Bitcoin price. I also believe that we have far more savvy investors this cycle as opposed to previous years. These investors will most definitely be pulling out of the crypto market next year and looking for better entries later on. Now, this cycle, although different already from previous cycles, I still believe it's going to perform very similar to the past. If you learn your history, you won't be surprised whenever it repeats or rhymes. Now, the one thing that I do think that might be different this time is we might see a much sharper decline and faster decline than we've ever seen before after we hit the peak of the cycle. Now, why do I say this? Remember before when I said we have a lot more veterans in this space? Well, guess what? They know and understand the 4-year cycle. These folks are not going to hold long once they know the top is in. A lot of these guys were burned by holding too long last cycle. One of them. We've learned our lesson. Now, I also know there's more new money than ever before in this market. And new money is synonymous with weak hands. Once the price begins to go south, these people are going to bail on crypto like it's the Titanic. All of this leads me to believe market will move south faster this time than it ever has before once we peak in 2025. Let me know what you think in the comments below. That's it for this week, folks. Remember, I have that beginners investing video coming out on Thursday. As always, stay curious, be kind, rewind.